Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be me telling you all of my controversial opinions, which I am a little bit nervous but also super excited. So there wasn't really a controversial tag that I could find, so I just looked up controversial opinions and I found a whole bunch. So I picked 10 that I'm going to be discussing with you guys today and telling you my opinions. But before we get into it, just a quick disclaimer, please do not hate on me. If you disagree with me, that's totally fine. If you want to tell me your opinion in a very respectful way in the comments below, we can definitely have that discussion. If you guys want to have like a discussion about these topics in the comments, I'm totally fine with that. But any hate towards me and other people in the comments will be instantly removed and blocked and reported and all that stuff. There will be no hate on this video towards me or anyone else who is sharing their opinions. And without further ado, I'm just gonna get right into today's video. So the first one has been in the media a lot lately, and it is gun control. Personally, I believe that there should be gun control. I don't believe that guns should be banned, but I believe that there definitely should be gun control, because the argument that I hear so many people saying is that bad people will still have a gun and they will still get access to a gun, which I'm not saying it's gonna 100% eliminate all crimes related to guns, but it will make them a lot less. So there's going to be a lot less crimes related to that, and a lot of people talk about their rights and their right to have guns and all that stuff. And personally, I believe the right of people who have died in these shootings, the right of kids who are just trying to go to school, I feel like their right to live should come before your right to own a gun, I guess, if that makes sense. And a bunch of people complain that they're just a law-abiding citizen. So why should they be affected by this? And the answer is a law-abiding citizen would not really be affected by this, except for in a positive way, because then only the law-abiding citizens would have guns for the most part. Because if you are a complete law-abiding citizen and there's no reason why you shouldn't have a gun, then you're fine. Like, you'll be able to get a gun. It's just gun control. It's just safety procedures that make it harder to get. But if you are a law-abiding citizen, you should have no problem. So I guess that's just my opinion on guns. You can disagree with me. I am not trying to offend anyone or anything, and obviously everyone's gonna have different opinions on this, like they will on all of these issues. That's what makes them controversial, but that's just my opinion on gun control. The next one has also been in the media a ton lately, and that is pro-life or pro-choice. So personally, I am pro-choice. I believe that women should have the right to make that decision for themselves, and making abortions illegal is just going to increase unsafe abortions. It's not actually going to decrease abortions. But what I am all in favor for, I guess is the right term, is more sex education and more access to birth control and things like that. So I've been in school for a very long time. It is my senior year now, and I have never been taught anything about sex education. And then there's also so many kids whose parents don't talk to them about sex education or teach them these things. So I believe that it should definitely be something that should happen a lot more, because if people have more education on these topics, then they will make better decisions. And also, if birth control is more accessible to people and it is cheaper or free or whatever, there will be less abortion that way, as opposed to just making it illegal, which I don't believe would decrease the abortion rate. Vaccines. So personally, I believe that it should be the law to vaccinate your child. I have a very strong opinion on this. I believe obviously there are certain people who can't get the vaccination. If you have an allergy or another medical condition that prevents you from getting vaccinations, then I 100% believe that they should not have to get the vaccinations. But if you are a completely healthy individual who has no reason to not get vaccinations, I do believe that it should be the law to have to get vaccinated, just because there are a lot of people who are too young to get certain vaccines, and also, like I said, people who can't get them because of certain medical conditions. So people who aren't getting vaccinated by choice, if there's enough of them, then certain diseases are going to start coming back. We've already seen cases in the world where completely preventable diseases that have been eradicated years ago are starting to come back because a bunch of people are not vaccinating their kids now. And then these people who can't get the vaccinations for whatever reason are at more risk for catching that disease or getting that disease, because a lot of people aren't getting vaccinated, and I really don't think that's fair to the people who are too young to get vaccinations or to those people with those conditions. So I do believe that it should be the law to get vaccinated. The next one was on a bunch of lists for controversial opinions, but personally I don't really see what's controversial about it, but apparently it's controversial, and that is climate change. So obviously I believe in climate change. I mean, there's literally 1,000,001 research studies that prove that there is climate change and it is an issue. So I know that I am maybe not the most eco-friendly person, and there are maybe some things that I could be doing a little bit differently to help the planet, and it is definitely my goal to become more eco-friendly. But I do believe businesses and other big corporations should be doing their very best to lower their emissions and stuff, because those big companies, they are the people who are putting all of the emissions into the atmosphere, like mostly. So individuals should try to make changes to make themselves as eco-friendly as possible, but it's not really going to make a difference if certain big companies are still pumping a bunch of carbon into the atmosphere. It's just not going to work. So personally, I believe that we need to take changes on a more global level and all work together in order to stop climate change, and I definitely believe that is something that we should be doing. My next controversial opinion is universal health care. So for those of you who don't know, I am Canadian, so I do live in a country where we do have universal health care, and I like it. I think that it should be something that other countries should have as well, especially I know in the United States there's a lot of people who are talking about this right now because they have private health care. And there are definitely a lot of issues that can come from that, and I know that with public health care or universal health care, there is a lot of issues that can come from that as well. And I know in my healthcare system personally that we do have a lot of issues that should be fixed. But I do definitely believe that it is a lot better than the private healthcare system, where there are so many people who are getting denied insurance or denied care for reasons that are not really fair. People who are rich are getting treated better than people who are poor, and in my personal opinion that is just not fair. There's so many people who are struggling and dying that could have lived a full good life if they had access to a very simple healthcare procedure and things like that. So personally, I believe that universal healthcare should be a right. I believe that healthcare is a basic human right, and that people should not be having to be stressed about money during a terrible time in their life. If they are having some issues with their health, that should be their #1 priority, not the amount of money they have or if they'll be able to get certain treatments and things like that. So that's just my personal stance on it. If you disagree with me, that's totally fine, but that's just what I believe. The next one is free college. So this I can have mixed opinions on. I don't really think college should be completely free, but I do think it should be somewhat subsidized by the government. So again, in Canada, our colleges are a bit subsidized by the government, and I think that honestly just makes such a huge difference. I know not every school in the States is like this, but definitely some of the ones that I have seen, or that some of the people that I know in the States have talked about and stuff, some of those big universities are like $50,000 per year, things like that, and that is very, very, very expensive. It's crazy. And especially when you're going to college, you're like 18 years old, there's a very good chance that you won't be able to afford that. Personally, my college tuition, if I go to the school that I want to, which is my top choice school, my tuition would be $5,300. So that is a really, really big difference, and I'm still, that top choice school is still a very, very good university, and it is very accredited university and everything like that. So it's not that just I'm getting a worse education because my college is cheaper. I do believe that just because the college is cheaper or subsidized by the government, I don't believe that that makes it a worse education. I think any education is a good education, and that you can still get a very good one at a subsidized university. So I don't believe that university should be completely free, but I definitely do believe that it should be made cheaper, because if you have an entire society of people who are uneducated because they can't afford to get into school, then that's not good for society as a whole. So I really do think we should make it a priority to make education accessible to people, so that the people who want to go and learn can go and learn. The next one is not all that controversial to me, but I thought I would throw it in because I know a lot of people have very strong opinions on this, is the drinking age. So in certain places of Canada, I guess it depends on what province you live in, but in my province, the drinking age is 18, in other ones it's 19, but in the States it is 21. So that is quite a bit difference. That's 3 years older. So I guess my opinion on that is that 18 is a good drinking age. I think if you're an adult, if you can go to college, if you can get married, if you're technically quote unquote responsible enough to do all of those things, I think you should be responsible to drink. I don't have like a huge standpoint on this where I'm like, if the drinking age needs to be lowered in the States. Like, I don't really think that's the biggest issue in the States right now, but I do think that the drinking age should be 18. The next one is standardized testing in schools. So I hate standardized testing. I hate it. Personally, where I live, we have the standardized tests that you have to do at the end of grade 12 course, and they are super hard. Like, the provincial average is like 60% or 65%. It's like ridiculously low, and it's so dumb. I've actually taken one of them because I took a grade 12 course in grade 11, so I had to write that exam in grade 11. And it was ridiculous. I had like a 95 in the class going in, and then I got a 67 on the exam, and I studied for it for 3 weeks, and I really understood the content, so that just kind of tells you how ridiculous the exams are. So personally, I feel like final exams are fine if they're made by the teacher, but standardized tests made by the government, I don't know, just in my opinion, at least the ones I've taken really haven't assessed my learning or anything. They've just assessed how well I can guess on a multiple choice test, which I think is just stupid. I think it should be if you studied, you should get a good grade. If you went to class, you should get a good grade. If you tried and you know the material, you should be set, but that's usually not how it is with standardized tests, or at least the ones that I've taken. So I do disagree with them. I think that they are kind of dumb, but that's just my opinion, which I feel like I've said that after every question, but all of these are just my opinion. I'm just trying to throw that out there. Alright, so that was all for today's video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you guys agree with me on anything or disagree with me on anything, if you want to respectfully leave a comment down below and we can kind of discuss in the comments a little bit, I would really like to do that. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!